What does it take to rise from a small town with no internet, no connections, and no guarantee of success, and build an empire that empowers over 170,000 people across an entire continent? This is not a fairy tale. This is the true story of a young man from Ibusa, Delta State, Nigeria, who refused to let his circumstances write his ending. This is the story of John Obidi. Born on the 9th of September, 1986, in the quiet Delta State town of Ibusa, Nigeria. John Obidi grew up in a middle-class family, though closer to the lower end of middle class. It was a home where there was just enough. Just enough food. Just enough clothing. Just enough hope. But from an early age, one thing was abundantly clear: young John had a burning hunger for knowledge. His parents, recognizing his potential, stretched every naira they had to send him to university. He earned a bachelor's degree in computer science from Benson Idahosa University in Benin City. A graduate. A dreamer. A young man ready to take on the world. But the world was not ready for him. Nigeria, like many African nations, had a painful reality waiting for its graduates: too many job seekers, and not nearly enough jobs. John Obidi joined that long, discouraging line of unemployed Nigerian youth. Year after year. Application after application. Nothing. But John Obidi was not built to sit still. In 2012, he landed a position as a web development and programming instructor in Benin City. It wasn't his dream job. But it was a door, and he walked through it. Here is where the story gets remarkable. At a time when Nigeria's internet connectivity was poor at best, John taught himself programming and social media marketing through online videos and articles. And when the internet in his hometown of Ibusa wasn't strong enough, he traveled 118 kilometers, from Ibusa to Asaba, just to get online. 118 kilometers. Not to party. Not to visit friends. But to learn. Let that sink in. While others made excuses, John Obidi made journeys. By 2013, John knew that ambition needed a bigger stage. With barely enough money to cover his bus fare, he boarded a bus to Lagos, Nigeria's economic capital, to attend a masterclass called Mastering the Business of Your Talent by Steve Harris. He arrived in Lagos with big dreams and an almost empty pocket. The early days were brutal. There were moments when packing up and going back home would have made perfect sense. But John Obidi chose to stay. He began volunteering, helping with web development and live streaming at events, quietly building his reputation, one connection at a time. And then, slowly, the tide began to turn. High-paying clients came knocking, including telecom's giant MTN. The boy from Ibusa was now working with some of Nigeria's biggest brands. But even that was just the beginning. In 2014, John Obidi launched something that would change thousands of lives. He started Smart Camp, a free online community designed to bridge the knowledge gap between working professionals across Nigeria and beyond. The idea was simple but powerful: give Africans access to the knowledge they need, completely free. Week after week, his Smart Business teleseminars drew listeners from across the world. Smart Camp eventually evolved into what we know today as Headstart Africa. A community of over 170,000 business and career professionals. A platform of blogs, podcasts, webinars, and workshops. A movement that has empowered entrepreneurs from Nigeria to Rwanda, from Ghana to Zambia, from the UAE to Brazil. All built by a man who once traveled over 100 kilometers just to use the internet. The world began to take notice. In 2013, John received a nomination for the Future Awards Africa Prize for New Media, described by Forbes as the Nobel Prize for Young Africans. He would go on to win that same award in 2018. In 2017 and 2018, he was named among Avance Media's 100 most influential young Nigerians, ranking second in the entire country in 2018. In 2020, he was listed among the 100 most influential young Africans. He has spoken on stages across the globe: Brazil, UAE, Ghana, Zambia, Rwanda, Nigeria. But even as the awards piled up and the stages got bigger, John Obidi never forgot where he came from. He created Night School, a free online learning program held after hours, so that working Nigerians and Africans across the world could learn new skills without sacrificing their day jobs. Because John Obidi understood something most people don't: opportunity should never be limited by your schedule. Whether you are a student in Abuja, a graduate in Lagos, or a professional in London, Night School brought the classroom to you. Free of charge. No excuses accepted. Everywhere he goes, his message is the same: your background is not your barrier. Africa is not a limitation, it is a launchpad. John Obidi's story is not just about one man. It is about every African child who has ever been told that where they come from determines where they can go. It is about every young person sitting in a small town right now, daring to dream of something bigger. From Abuja to Lagos. From Lagos to the world. John Obidi did not wait for opportunity to find him. He traveled 118 kilometers to find it himself. And that is what an African star looks like. This has been Stories of African Stars. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button, because we are just getting started. There are hundreds more stories like this waiting to be told. Stories of courage. Stories of grit. Stories of black excellence. Don't miss a single one.